I see. I don't think that they need to. I don't think all domestic games need DRS, but they could, and I don't think they should bring it in for DRS. I think they should bring it in so they have more Hawkeye data on all of their players. That's why I would bring it in. I would literally, I would say publicly, we're going to make DRS, but privately, I'd be saying to everyone, we now are going to get the exact speeds of all these bowlers. We're going to get, whether this guy can swing the old ball, swing the new ball, reverse swing, how this person spins it, all those sorts of things. That sounds. I'd be surprised. I can't think of. I mean, they don't use DRS in county cricket, and I don't think they use it for Sheffield Shield finals. So I think they're thinking about it in a very old way, which is, well, it's never needed it before, and just because this game is broadcast in a better way than our normal games are broadcast, we don't particularly need it. But if I was working for, if I was sending an email to Royal Dravid, I'd be saying, if you got DRS onto all these things, think about how much more information you would have on all your first class players. Which is also what I'd be telling, county cricket. Now, it is expensive. I do think there are cheaper ways of doing it, but I think Hawkeye specifically is quite an expensive model. You also then need to think about, I think, is that the Women's World Cup in 2017? The ICC decided not to have DRS, and they didn't have the run out cameras. So I don't what we call those, the third umpire runouts. So we, and a lot of the associate cricket, I think the West Indies Scotland game is that's probably a multi-million-dollar game for West Indies and Scotland before the 2019 World Cup. And Richie Barrington gets done on an LB. I think it was Richie Barrington got done on an LBW, just before the rain came down. You're talking about a game that could cost Scotland between $2 and $5 million, right? Maybe more than that when you think about, what might happen into the future. And it's not being decided by technology that the ICC can afford. So I think a lot of it is, there is a belief that because it is expensive, and it is expensive, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but, it's not a cheap system. Because of that, when they can cut corners, they do cut corners. But as I've said, from a development tool, I think it's the best thing that you could tell any of these players. The information that the coaches, the selectors, general managers, directors of cricket, all these people could use that sort of information. So I'd be selling it more as that. I've said that on this podcast about 10 times. I don't understand where the money from the BCCI goes. I don't see it on the field. I don't see it in academies. I don't see it in women's cricket development. Don't see it in men's cricket development. Where's the money going? They seem to make a lot of money and it disappears. I don't see that because of this DRS thing. I think this is more of an old school of thing of like, well, that's a first class game, and it's a final and we got better cameras, but we don't need DRS. But as a general rule, I don't understand where all the BCCI money goes. They don't seem to have 100 more staff, or 10,000 more staff than other cricket boards. They don't have the best cricket facilities in the world. They don't have the best stadiums in the world. I don't understand where all this money is going, right? So yes, as a general rule, yeah, definitely. I mean, so in basketball, I think, is it 47 or 49% of the revenue goes to the players, which is a similar system to what Cricket Australia has with their players, I think. Although it might have come down in that last one. I haven't looked at that for a while. Is that right? Or is it 25%? I've forgotten the number now. But they based it on that. Indian cricketers aren't making 25% of what the BCCI makes, and yet they're the ones making it for them. So the players aren't getting paid. It's not a professional system as it should be. You could put a state-of-the-art cricket academy. Well, I would say one per state. You could probably put 2 or 3 per state. You could professionalize women's cricket in a heartbeat, in a way that no one else would ever be. Indian women could be the best cricket team in the world for like 50 years because of what you could do with the BCCI money. There's we were talking about spatial cameras before. They could have Hawkeye, a proper camera to work out the revolutions on the ball and the path of the ball. Hawkeye, that spatial tracking in the field for every top level cricket ground in India, which means that they would be learning stuff that other cricket teams might take 20 years to learn about fielding positions, about revolutions, about the grips of balls, all these sorts of things. Again, it's not actually that expensive for them. Would be for any other board, but for them, we're not talking about a lot. They could be, that they could be the NASA of cricket, and I don't see how anyone else would ever get anywhere near them. And I don't know where the money goes. I don't see it being spent on cricket. They don't have open accounts. They probably, I think all cricket boards really in the world we should be knowing where the money goes. We make this money for them, right? We're not just consumers, because this is not just a product. This is not us buying a can of Coca-Cola, right? These are bodies that are run for the betterment of sport in that country. We should know a lot more about where the money is going. Have a look at the furor about the England administrators getting paid bonuses, right? I think there's a lot of people in other cricket countries doing pretty well, and that we don't know that they're getting bonuses. We should know what the CEO is being paid. We know in some cases we know what the players get paid, right? And we don't know what any of the administrators or coaches get paid. How is that okay? This isn't just an Indian thing. This is a lot of cricket boards getting away with absolute nonsense. And I think the ICC tried to open this up, and a lot of the cricket boards went, of course, we're not going to tell you. And there's probably a reason, right? There was a very, very notable deal done with West Indies cricket. I know, whenever it was, 4 or 5 years ago, where they suddenly got a lot more money out of sponsorship than they used to get out of sponsorship. And I think that the thought within cricket was, have the sponsors suddenly got more money? Or has something else happened? And by something else happened, I don't even know what that means. Was it bad business? Was there corruption? Was it doing sponsorship deals for you? We have no idea, right? Because we can't, there's no transparency in all this. And this is not an Indian problem. This goes right across the game. And I think too many decisions are made and we don't know where the money goes. This is not, and if an IPL team doesn't want to tell us what they're doing with their money, they are a private entity. These are not private entities, right? Some of them have tax breaks. They have all sorts of advantages. Some of them get government money. So they don't just get money off us, the cricket fans. They also get money from the government. Some of them get land from the government. All these sorts of things. And we don't know what happens with any of this money. And I don't think it's acceptable. And it's never been acceptable. It's just that, in the old days, it was run by gentlemen and we had to accept their word, except for the fact that we knew the old gentlemen were absolute grifters and grafters. And, there's a reason why Kerry Packer found it so easy to do what he did. It's because he paid the players and the players weren't being paid. The money back in those days was not going in the right direction. And I've got no problem with, so a few years ago, the ICC, they took out every chairman. I think it must have been for the 2000s test at Lords. They took out all the chairmen of all the boards, of all the major boards, first class, to attend the test. If you're a chairman of a cricket board and the ICC wants to pay for that, I'm okay with it. But my understanding was, and I could be wrong here, that the families also went out. Now, the only reason we found out about that is because it was leaked by one of the chairmen, I think, or someone involved in one of the boards. The ICC shouldn't be spending money like that. If someone wants to go to the test match and they want to stay in the hotel, that's fine. If there's a deal to be made, I do deals sometimes with cricket boards, with a lot of my employees, and this includes Cricket Scotland, where I wanted my family to go out. But Cricket Scotland didn't spend any more money on that. But what they did do was make sure that I had a room that was of a size where I could get that. Like, that's a fair thing to do for your employees and all that sort of stuff. But I think it would be very fair for Cricket Scotland to say, well, any Scottish person should know if my family members are getting paid for by Cricket Scotland, and that goes all the way up to these boards that actually have billions and billions of dollars, and we don't know anything. And if that's part of it, that's fine, but make it public. Okay, so the Australian cricket team goes out, and they travel, and they get extra big rooms if they have a family. That seems like a a fair thing, but we should be able to know that that is part of their employment rights. But we should also know if the administrators are doing that, and the coaches are doing that, and the officials are doing that. We should know where all the dollars are being spent. And at the moment, we know the big name things, and we don't know anything else. So the entire system is cricket boards are so different from country to country as well. Like, as the laws are, and the way these things are set up. So I personally don't really. I wouldn't know that, but I would say in some countries you would be able to find out more information. I think in Australia, maybe New Zealand, the finances are quite clear. I think we know in Ireland might be another one that it's quite clear where the money is going. Um, it doesn't feel like there are that many other cricket boards that are out there that are doing a similar thing that I'm aware of. There's so many cricket boards. There might be some that are doing slight things like that, but it might be a case in certain countries we can get more information out there. But then you also need, it would probably take more than a cricket writer to be able to go through those sorts of documents, because those are not the sorts of things that we generally, as cricket writers, would have to do. And when I've been given documents, I kind of have to find experts to have a look at them myself. So it might be the case that it's possible in some countries, but the cricket writers are like, I've seen them and it didn't make any more sense to me than it did beforehand. I can't answer that one. Thanks so much for your question, though, mate. But yeah, as I was saying, we should know where the money is being spent in cricket, um, far more than I think we currently do. And sadly, I don't think it's going to change in the short term. I don't think there's any cricket boards looking to do that.